Girls, if I go missing, you know my alien husband.
If you go missing, I'm not sounding the alarm. It's because you're in good hands.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Romancing the Monsters. I'm Em.
Hi, I'm S.
Hi, I'm Seth.
This week we read Guardian by Amy Chandler. It is a sci-fi novel, which I believe is our first on the podcast. Am I right?
Yes, it is.
Unfortunately, it's not technically a sci-fi with any types of delicious aliens.
Yeah.
It is very normal human beings. But
I wouldn't say normal.
I mean, okay. Well, I mean, technically she is alien. He's not. He's from Earth. But she is technically alien.
I was talking about their personalities. Not them,
they
per
don't
se,
look
but everyone
alien.
else.
Oh, yeah, okay, wow. Anyways, it has an interesting premise, Seth.
Yeah.
What is it?
So basically, this book takes place on a prison planet, and what that is basically where prisoners live out the rest of their lives, and it's not the best living conditions. It's not the best planet to live in.
That is putting it lightly.
So anyways, we start off with Audra. Is that how you say her name? Audra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We start off with her on a spaceship of sorts, taking her to this prison planet for committing a crime. We don't know what it is yet. But basically, it starts off really brutally. We see women that are naked, being fed through holes in the wall, being hosed down with cold water, and they're also sterilized before they get onto the planet.
Yeah.
So they can't procreate. Anyways, so as soon as they arrive onto the planet, they get backpacks with supplies like food, water tablets to clarify the water, things like that, things that they need to survive. But then, as soon as they get onto that planet, a character named Wendy basically is Miss Warden and decides to separate the girls. They have a Settlement A and Settlement B. Settlement B is where you ultimately want to get to because, you know, that's where, like, they're living an okay life. We never really see what happens in Settlement B. We don't know what their life is.
Yeah, it might
like.
not be that okay.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, Audra, since we're following her story, we end up with Settlement A. And there, it's pretty awful. It's where all the men live. And the men basically have free reign.
I don't know why that's funny to me.
Why is that funny?
That's a funny
That's
part.
where the men are. Pretty awful.
I mean,
chaos.
this book made it seem like men are, like,
It did. No, it did.
disgustingly
Yeah.
vile.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that, so please remind me of that later on. Okay, moving on. Settlement A.
So basically, 6 women get sent every time a new shipment of prisoners come to Settlement A. And basically, the women, their role is to have sex with the men in order to get food and shelter and anything else they may need to survive. And these are the rules of their leader, Jamie, who's pretty disgusting. And they must choose a protector for a month, and then they have to choose another one the month after. Basically, Audra has a hot mouth, I guess one would say, and she honestly does not agree at all with what's going on. She's, like, in shock, and she does not want to choose any men. She doesn't want to get raped. That's more or less what's going to happen.
Gang raped.
Yeah, because if you don't have a guardian, there you go, Marge, you literally are there, and men would take it. You know, would rape you because...
Well, it's essentially like you pick a guardian who will protect you, but also expect things of you in exchange for food and safety, or you can just try to go about on your own and be violently and repeatedly raped by a bunch of men. So
until you die, because they don't care if you die.
Yeah, I mean, they will kill you.
Yeah.
They will literally run you to the ground. Mm-hmm. So it's awful. And this is not even me like extrapolating, like that is the situation. Like that is how it's described.
Extrapolating mean?
Isn't it like a hyperbole or whatever? Extrapolating a situation, like making it bigger?
Exaggerating.
Exaggerate?
Yeah? Isn't it? Did I just invent a word? If so, well, extrapolating is now in the dictionary, everyone. Use it as you wish.
Oh no, maybe you're right. I kind of want to search it up now.
Maybe I also just used a really big word and I'm proud of myself. Who knows? It's either I invented it or I used it correctly.
Oh, okay. So it means extend the application or method to an unknown situation by assuming the existing trends will continue or similar methods will be applicable. That's a stupid. I don't like that. I think that's a math word.
What? What?
Oh, extrapolation is a way to make guesses about the future or about some hypothetical situation based on the data you already know. So it's a math word, but I think you kind of use it accurately.
Well,
because like we are
listen, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Will die based on what we know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so
Audra is pretty smart in all of this. She realizes she needs to survive. So she looks at their clothes, their hygiene, what supplies they have, things like that. So that would mean that they're able to protect themselves as well as herself. And she also looks at their facial expressions. If they look, unkind or like brutal. I mean, basically all the men there are brutal and unkind. But then she sees one man who literally is not at all invested in the process of like the women choosing a guardian. He literally is just holding a dead ass rabbit and like walking.
Isn't he standing on top of a rock too? Like it's just Tyson, what are you doing?
And anyway, she chooses that guy to be her guardian, and his name is Tyson. And he's also like the one lone wolf in Settlement A that everyone steers clear of because they're scared of him. And he's brutal.
Or so they say. I mean, we can talk about that later on.
Yeah. But Audra also bonded with another female prisoner named Macy, who kind of become a package deal in all of this, and she makes Tyson take her and Macy, which causes an uproar because you can only have one female, obviously. But since he's so strong and so like feared amongst all of those people, he gets away with it, and I guess the story really starts there, and he ends up protecting both of them.
He's also so selfless.
Yeah.
He's like, this is gonna bring me hell, but I will do it.
Because he sees, like, he obviously doesn't like the situation of, like, what's going on, and yeah, it's an interesting world. It's an interesting planet.
It's a depressing world.
Yeah.
It is a dark world.
It did give me anxiety, Marge. Like,
did it? Because
really
it definitely gave me anxiety, especially the end. So I guess we can keep that for later on. But
yeah, we should also start off by saying like
hopeless.
That we should have like said this book was pretty dark, and our conversations will be pretty dark and triggering.
Probably, yeah.
So maybe we should put that in the beginning before I start my synopsis.
Warning. Trigger warning. 10 minutes in. So what did you think of the book? S.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain. Like, okay, so I enjoyed the book.
Yeah.
Like, the writing was good.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would continue on with the series. Because it did give me anxiety. Like, the situations that the girls went through. I didn't know how far the author was going to take all these situations. Like, I actually thought, well, we'll get into that with Jamie, the scene kind of towards the end.
Fuck Jamie, man.
Oh,
yeah.
Jamie.
If I could kill that bastard again.
I don't know, just thinking about it kind of makes my stomach hurt. But
I literally had to type into, like, ask into the chat. Like, we have a chat together. Yeah. And she was like, is Jamie the hero?
I know. I was like, I mean, at that point, I won't lie, though, because I also thought he was the hero.
Yeah.
I did not, but I read the blurb.
I didn't.
I knew it was a Tyson.
I went into the chat, asked my question, and then I went to go look at the blurb just to make sure.
Okay, so for context, Jamie is essentially presented as this gross ass pimp.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
He's like the ruler over there. He makes the laws. He, supposedly makes sure that things, are working as they should. But like really it's kind of like he's a tyrant. Like it is not fun. And S apparently thought he was the hero.
Seriously, for a second, I was like, if this is a hero, I'm sorry, I'm gonna
I was gonna clock out too.
Heck no, I would not be reading.
That's why I asked you, like, do you like the hero? Okay, so it wasn't Jamie, so I was like, but do you like the hero? Because the way the author is explaining all these other guys, like, they're horrible. I couldn't believe that Tyson was a good one. Like, it took me a while for me to believe that he was a good one. So
yeah, I was like, I also so basically their first sexual situation was kind of, blurry in the sense where she felt like she was obligated to have sex with him. And he really was just, he had one thought in mind, and that was, to have sex.
Well, he thought she was offering too.
Yeah.
Like, in his head, he didn't think about the fact that she might not want it. Like, well, okay, that's not what I'm trying to say. In the sense that, like, to him, she would only offer if she wanted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it hadn't crossed his mind that she's doing it out of obligation.
Yeah.
But that's
when I was like, are his intentions as good as, like, I want them to be? And then slowly, obviously, we find out that he's actually, like, a pretty great guy, pretty selfless guy.
He's a sweet guy.
So, yeah, no, I was in the same boat with US because, like, I liked the story. I wouldn't say I like the story. I like the writing. And, like, the story was it was jarring. Like, I had no other words to describe it. Like, and I was telling Marge the other day that, like, I was struggling to get back into it and I didn't know why. And I think it was because, like, I felt disturbed reading it. And it's like, I know nothing really happens to our main female, but it's just, like, what's going on around them with the girl Santa, with whatever happened to her friend Lita at the beginning. We don't know. We don't know what happened to any of them because, like, the world is so brutal, and Santa probably died. Like, we don't know what happens to her. And she was another female that came to this settlement A. And it's like, it's crazy because she probably died.
Yeah, they probably all of that died, to be honest. But I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it. But like both of you, it did stir some emotions in me that I didn't want it to stir. But I feel like part of it is also because I went into it being really naive. Like, I don't think I knew how dark this book was.
Yeah.
And so all along, I expected it to at least have some kind of, like, unrealistic happy ending. Yeah. Like, somehow miraculously they managed to get off the fucking planet. It doesn't happen, but I kept, like, I don't know why I was so naive, but I kept holding on to that thought. I guess maybe because all the sci-fi I've read, sci-fi romance anyway that I've read, always is kind of like, and then somehow they're just super happy on this ice planet, like it just, and no one dies ever. Like, it's just, I guess maybe that's why I was expecting it to be that way, but like, it was dark from the beginning till the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely not a miraculous happy ending. It is, however, perhaps a realistic ending.
I agree.
Which we can talk about the, how that could be a good thing and how it could be a bad thing. I don't know. So yeah, I enjoyed it overall. The writing was definitely good. It was
so
like,
good.
Is this person writing under another pen name? Because like I like the writing, but all she writes under this one pen name, I think, are like really dark sci-fi. So
yeah, no, her writing was amazing. Like, I was enthralled. Like, anytime I picked up the book, I was like engaged. I couldn't put it down. But it's just, as I said, it was brutal. But yeah, I liked it. And I don't know. So the next book is Macy, and how the book ends basically is her getting taken and sent to Zone 2, where they were living in Zone 4. And they had to escape Zone 4 because obviously Tyson wanted to keep Audra, and that's obviously not something that could happen there. So they finally get away with the help of another prisoner guard. I feel like we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I was saying was I don't know if I'm going to read Macy's book but I also kind of like bonded with her. Like I liked her.
I don't know how I felt about Macy.
You have thoughts about her?
To me, well, maybe the reason why I should read her book is because she's not your typical heroine, at least in this book. Like, how she was constructed as a character, I really wasn't expecting her to be the next book.
Because they portrayed her as a child?
When she gets taken away at the end of this book, I was like, oh, okay, so, like, that's the end of Macy?
Oh,
and then I went and read the blurb of book 2, and I was like, it's Macy's book? Like, the girl that barely speaks? Like, it didn't quite make sense in my head, but I guess, like, that's kind of interesting how she's kind of not your typical main character anyway. So, but have you read the blurb of that book? It's literally Hunger Games. They're being hunted down by the rich. What the fuck?
No, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, I did read it. So clearly so I read the first chapter of book 2, and like the way it starts off, it was at the end of the book. Because I was curious. I was like, wait. Macy is the girl? And then, because, like, we don't know basically where she went at the end, because we don't know what Zone 2 was we don't know what it was about.
We know it was worse than Zone 4, like, by what we were told by the guard lady, whatever her name was.
Vivian?
Yeah.
Yeah, she kept, like, shaking her head, like, furiously, like, no, like, don't send her, like, don't do it. And then that's when I was like, uh-oh, poor Macy, what's gonna happen to her? But yeah. It just leaves me sick to my stomach. Like, the whole idea of this, like, prison planet, which we can also talk about. I feel like we keep saying that, so let's just talk about things.
Okay, well, before we backtrack to the beginning of the book, can we just at least close this conversation, well, for now, close this conversation of the end on what did you think of the fact that Tyson chose Audra over Macy in the end? Like, that choice.
But I
thought it was kind of an interesting choice, like a bold choice.
It was a realistic choice. You would always save the person
I
you
expected
love.
it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, hopefully. And it was like, it's either he gets captured himself because Macy was already with the guards, or he dies. Like there was no other option. He had to like save the person that was furthest away. And that happened to be the woman he loved. And obviously, I think he would make an extra effort to save her over Macy.
I just think it's interesting because obviously the author is writing the book. She's deciding what happens at the end of it. Mm-hmm. And she chose to have her hero ultimately pick between Macy and Audra, which obviously Macy is not his love interest. But you are told, or at least you assume from the rest of the book, that he has grown to care for her. Yeah. Like a, sister or something. And he picks Audra. So she wanted him to have to pick. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to think about. Yeah. Like, why did she do that? And also, what does it say about his character? Because I feel like it's kind of a bold thing. Like, for a minute there, I was like, how dare you?
I feel like it's the first time he's been selfish. Minus probably, the whole choosing Audra and Macy to live with. Like, that was his one moment where he
wasn't selfish in that moment when he picked both of them. You mean like afterwards when he was like, oh, you're not going back after 1 month?
Exactly.
Okay.
That was like him saying he wants that family. He wants that like family unit. So he's going to fight to make sure that happens. But at the end, like he was literally only saving the woman he loved. Like I feel like that was his selfish moment. Because he could have been selfless and saved Macy because he knew Audra could handle herself out there. We know Macy probably can't. Like, that was his selfish moment.
But I guess she can, though. That's kind of the lesson of it all. It's like they underestimated her if she's the heroine of the next book.
Exactly.
And she's literally being hunted down. I think girl is going to do fine.
I think she will, too. Somehow. And I think the little, like, mousy, quiet person was just, like, a facade. Because, obviously, like, no one really notices you if you're quiet and, like, you hide. No one notices you. And I think Audra also mentioned that at the beginning of the book. She didn't even notice Macy.
That she also has that really good hearing.
What was that? that was weird.
Yeah. I was confused with that about Macy.
I'm guessing it's probably going to be revealed in her book. But I was like, was she, like, genetically altered?
Maybe.
I don't know. Like, that was the one, like, I guess you could say magical thing in the book. I mean, I guess it's
She had really
maybe
good
not
hearing.
magical at all, and she was probably just genetically altered, but, like, I don't know. That was weird. But what did you think of the decision at the end? Yes.
I mean, I kind of expected it. I was hoping that they would all leave, somehow be taken into zone 2, but he had to make a choice, and I wasn't
Yeah.
shocked that he picked Audra. I mean,
Yeah, and I guess, like, in the end, he does say, like, okay, well, we're gonna go find her now.
I know.
if I do decide to read the next book, I'm hoping they kind of make an appearance and kind of make their way
Yeah.
to Macy. I don't know.
Well,
We'll see.
what I was thinking, I don't know if this is how it's going to pan out for the series, but how I was expecting, when I read the ending, it really shocked me. I was like taken aback, really anxious about it. I was expecting happiness here, and was really hopeless and dark. But I was like, is it possible that it's the kind of series where you have, like, each book has a plot, but then there's also an overarching plot, and then all the characters from all the books by the end find their happiness, like in the very last book. Like, somehow they dismantle this planet or something. I don't fucking know.
Do you think they all find a way to come together?
Yeah, something like that. That, like, it's like they're happy for now-ish, sort of, question mark. But then they will be happy by the end of the series. I don't know. That's that was like my one thought. I was like, okay, if she's going for that, I'm cool with it.
I'm
if
okay
she's
with
not
that,
going
too.
for that, I'm slightly dissatisfied.
Because, like,
Yeah.
Audra and Tyson's story isn't over at the end of the book one. Like,
Yeah.
True.
they're not safe. We don't even know what they're going to encounter in Zone 3.
Yeah.
So, I
True.
don't know. I honestly think whoa, I don't know what's going on. I honestly think we will revisit them in the coming books.
They might have POVs in the second book. Like, who knows?
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Their story is far from over.
There's, like, the last book in the series, I think, is, like, literally people being sold or, like, opened up for their organs.
I saw that. I was reading the synopsis.
I was just like, what the hell, Annie Chandler? Like,
How do they even read the series?
like, the hero, like, he's sent to this sector of the planet, and, like,
He's missing organs.
Essentially, he's just used for his organs, and then the girl is, like, a doctor there, and she tries to, like, set him free or what.
I keep forgetting that that planet is big. For some reason, like, I'm just kind of
there's
thinking
different zones.
Yeah,
it seems
so
really
that kinda,
small because it's so focused, right?
Yeah.
On, like, this one little town of people, this one little settlement. Anyways, going back to the beginning of the book. What did you think of the principle, or I guess the concept of having a prison planet? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we've had prison countries before, Australia being one of them.
What?
Australia was originally a prison country. Like, prisoners went there.
For real?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I didn't know this.
Okay.
I know Australia is made up of descendants of prisoners, minus the indigenous people. It was a penal colony in 1788. And over the next 80 years, more than 160,000 convicts were transported to Australia from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. And so they were either given the choice to go to Australia or to have the death penalty, I think. But it only became a first world country because they were allowed to, like, work and do all of that stuff. And then it became a booming country.
People saying, like, oh, let's just send all our convicts to one island where they can just survive over there. It's just as inhuman, in my opinion. And, like, that's kind of what this book proved to me. It's just like, that is awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
And it's like, we don't even know the magnitude of their crimes. Like, clearly, some people didn't even commit that great of a crime. Like, Tyson, we find out, all he did was steal a cop car at, like, 18 years old. And
Audra got convicted falsely.
Yeah.
Like, she was convicted when it was supposed to be her sister, her twin sister. Like,
it just makes me question what's their purpose, because they're not investigated properly. They're not, like, Tyson's crime was laughable. Like, come on, he was a kid and it wasn't even that big of a deal. And it's just like, are they trying to, is like the world overpopulated like other worlds? Like, why are we just sending people to die in this prison planet? Like, what's their reason?
Yeah, because there's really no, like, they don't like discriminate against crimes. Like, it's like you either murdered a bunch of people or you stole a cop car, but somehow you end up on the same goddamn planet with the same goddamn living conditions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, I feel like there should be a like a in between. Like, I don't know.
And like, it's not even a spectrum though, because like you said, murderers, rapists, and like child molesters would probably all be where, you know, Tyson is, you know, where Audra is, and we don't know what Macy did. She could have been like an assassin for all we know. But it's just like there's no spectrum. Like there's no, like, we don't even know what the other zones are. Is zone 4 the worst one? Clearly not. Is it the least worst one? Does that make sense grammatically?
I don't think there's
know.
a single least worst one. They're all bad.
But like people got sent to like zone 6 and 7, and then like the guard was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you know, it's like inner, like I don't know."
Well,
how.
I'm pretty sure zone 6 and 7 is where your fucking organs are ripped out of you. So I don't think that that's much better.
But then,
you know?
like when she was saying,
maybe you just get to die quicker.
But then when they were saying, "Oh, you're going to zone 4, like good luck or whatever," and so I just thought zone 6 and 7 might not be that bad.
It's all bad,
so.
Seth. The whole world is bad. That whole planet.
The whole goddamn planet needs to burn. So how did you feel about the fact that what they did to get convicted was so small?
I honestly was expecting Tyson to be like a murderer, or like I just expected their crimes to be so great, and they weren't. Like they weren't that big of a deal.
Yeah, but isn't that like an interesting choice? Like it kind of says something about like how we treat some people that have convicted stuff, and like we do not take into consideration their lives that they've lived,
yep,
the situations that they're forced into. Like, why did he have to steal a cop car? Like, can we not actually sit down and try to understand this person and why he did it? He was young, you know. Like I don't know. Like it just I liked that choice because I was like, so they don't have a reason to be here.
Nope.
And yet they are. And there's a ton of people that are in prison as we speak and that shouldn't be there.
Exactly.
You know, like it's just, they could just live out their sentence amongst like society.
It kind of gets me thinking to where we live. How an example, there's this woman that went to jail because she used a different address to send her kid to a better school.
Yep.
And she got so many years.
A black woman, we should say.
Yeah. There's the whole situation with the actress.
Yes. I don't remember her
Aunt
name,
Becky from Full House or whatever. What she did with her daughter in the universities, and she's only getting 2 months.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets you thinking, like,
she's rich, white, and they care more about that than they do about people of color and people in financial situations that, you know, that aren't the best.
Well, yeah, because the lady was literally just trying to make sure her kid has the best future possible. Like, how can that be a crime? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and that just brings it back to like this story. Like, I'm sorry, but like Tyson's crime was not that big. And the fact that they didn't even investigate Audra like having a twin is so, it's just like, it just resembles so much our situation in our own society. And it's disgusting. As you said, I like that Emmy Chandler decided to do that and decided to like highlight our own issues in our penal system. And yeah, I just like, it's jarring to see it in like such a drastic light, you know, in a whole prison planet that like rapes and kills and does all that stuff. But it's basically, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's awful. Like it's sad that people like Tyson, people like Audra, and people like Macy, I don't know what her crime is, but that they're sent to the same place that like, I don't know, it just like, it's hopeless. It's a hopeless situation that they're sent to.
Yeah.
We got serious, guys.
It did. I feel like I have a new appreciation of this book now. Like having this
Well,
discussion.
yeah, it's like in the subtle things, right? Like I don't know if she made that choice
consciously.
Yeah, or if it's just that's what maybe she just wanted her characters to still be as likable as possible. Which, you know, if Tyson had turned out to be a mass murderer, perhaps we wouldn't be like, oh, yay, Tyson, yes, get off
You
the
massacred
planet,
a whole family, but we still love you.
So maybe it was more that, but it doesn't take away from how we feel towards that decision and what it says about us, you know?
Exactly. I think as readers, we pull our own situations, like, out of stories. Like, we find a way to relate to what's going on in our world, and find a way to connect the story to our own world. And I feel like it's hard to read this book in today's world, you know, in 2020, and not make that connection.
We're all in goddamn prison in 2020.
I meant with what's going on with, like, Black Lives Matter prison,
and goddamn, like, it feels like it was
unjust situations. But yeah, 2020, yeah, it does feel like a prison.
I can't believe this is actually coming out in 2021. Who knows what the world looks like by then?
Oh shit!
Perhaps worse, perhaps better.
Oh shoot! I totally forgot. Yes, this would be 2021.
Okay, so one choice that did kind of puzzle me a little bit, and I want to hear your takes on it so that maybe you can change my mind or something.
Okay.
But I am not a man, obviously. But I found myself being really offended on behalf of men with how vile they were portrayed in this book. Like, none of them were redeemable. They were all vile people. And if anything, wait, hold on. Give me a second. If anything, the thing with Tyson's crime and Audra's crime proves that I don't think they're the only ones on this planet that probably did not commit that much of an offense. So I'm like, why did you portray them as such vile monsters? I was kind of offended. Okay, you can go, Sam.
Okay, so I remember clearly when Audra was asking Tyson, can you help me choose my next my guardian, not protector. Can you help me choose my next guardian because I need to find someone that's someone like you. And then he's like, you can find, there's many people here that are good, but they point blank can't protect you. They can't guard you. They can't make sure you're safe because they don't have that, like, murderous, like, instinct. Like, they're probably not murderers. They probably, like, stole, like, bread or something. Like, they're not, like, bad people. And those people, because they can't fight for themselves, they're not capable of, like, committing murder. They're not good guardians. So they did talk about that. There are people there that are good and probably don't support the situation, but...
Well, I guess maybe it's just the concept of, like, when you get a group, the strongest is always on top. Like, so, like, the loudest, meanest men are the most visible ones, and then the ones that are perhaps normal and kind and not absolutely vile creatures, they're quiet. Yeah. They're kind of unseen.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. Maybe it is that, but I was still like, oh my God, like, I just want to believe in a world where just because a bunch of men are sent to a prison planet, they wouldn't suddenly turn into a bunch of rapists, you know? Like, I kind of just want to hold on to that.
I have a question. I have a question. Do you think the guys are vile, like how the author portrayed them, because of the situation that they're in, because of their crimes weren't that bad, and they got sent to a prison planet, and that's why they just kind of like...
That's a good question.
Well, maybe, like, circumstances made them so, you know what I mean? Like, they say monsters are not born, they're made. Mm-hmm. I don't know if perhaps, we could read it that way, where it's like, you or had maybe... a life, you're taken away from your life, you're sent to this planet that's really hopeless and dark, and perhaps it makes the worst come out of people. That's also possible, you know?
And it also, like, it makes you question, like, what are you willing to do to survive? And, you know, it alters you. Like, you know, maybe...
I would die in a second. Argue that raping someone does not help you to survive in any way, shape, or form, but...
No, I agree. Sure. I'm just trying to, like, rationalize and...
Just pointed it out. your dick is not gonna fall off.
What do you guys think about Wendy though? Her choice of sending
She's
girls.
just as worse
She's
as
bad.
But you don't think maybe
Jamie.
she's just trying to survive? Like that's her way of surviving. Like
She is trying to survive, but by doing that, she's lost her humanity. And that makes her a vile villain, in my eyes.
I think she's, what's the word, complacent? Is that the word I'm looking for? Like, she's helping him. You know what I mean? Like, she, even if she knows deep down that it's bad and she wishes it wasn't that way, she's literally bringing him 6 new women every month or whatever.
But it's like that idea that Audra was talking about. It's like, it's sending 6 women, but to save all the other women. Because if they don't have that treaty going with, like, sending 6 women each shipment, all the men are just going to attack Settlement B. And, like, Audra, like, talks about it to Tyson and saying, like, if I run away with Macy, all those other women are going to get brutally raped and probably murdered. So it's like the lesser of 2 evils. Like, which one is the lesser, evil?
That whole, like, metaphor of, like, the
train?
I think it was, like, a train, and then, like, you have a bunch of people, and then you have, like, a lever, and if you pull the lever, then one person dies, or all of them die, and it's like, do you pull it? Do you kill one person to save 4, or do you just let the 4 people die?
Yeah.
And it was interesting. It was interesting. I mean, it's definitely, like, all... I mean, our favorite word, I guess, perspectives.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I guess I'm a very hopeful person.
Yeah.
I did not know that, but I would hope or want to think that even if in the worst of situations like that, people would still rise up. And what I'm seeing here is like a society of people that have given up, essentially. Like they're just
waiting to die.
Yeah, like things are bad and no one's rising up to change it.
You know, I somewhat take back what I said about Wendy, like she's a vile villain and like she's lost humanity, but I honestly, like, she's lived through what happened. She's been raped brutally, and I think she's been raped by Jamie, which is the worst of the worst. And it's she literally is just, she knows what these women are going through, and she's just trying to lessen the blow on the other women.
What did you think of the episode with the door? I thought that was kind of pointless.
Yeah, because they didn't stay there long. Like you said, it had no purpose. Like, I mean, I guess the idea, you know, is there. It's a thought that counts, you know. He's willing to build her a door with a lock. That's amazing. But they didn't really get to use it.
I don't know why my mind went somewhere sexual.
What?
They didn't get to use the door.
I meant, like, you know, we didn't get to see how strong it was.
I know
we didn't get to see, like,
my
how...
brain is just wired a certain way. Speaking of, let's talk about the sex in this book.
Shit, it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty hot.
I want to know, because S sent a recording of the guy's voice, like the narrator, and let me tell you guys, it is deep, it is, you know?
It was raspy, it was growly, it was a good voice.
So I want to know how the sex scenes were in that voice.
I'm trying to think if I think there must have been one sex scene where it was in his point of view.
Because, the narrator, he was very good. Yeah. I mean, okay, so the sex was hot. That's all we have to say about that.
Can we also talk about, like, Tyson's character? Like, obviously, at the beginning, we've said that it starts off with a sex scene between them. And she doesn't get to, you know, reach her
orgasm.
Her climax. Mm-hmm. There you go. And he feels so bad about it. And, like,
he does.
He has to redeem himself, and he fully says, like, I have to redeem myself, and, like, pulls her and starts, you know, going to town on her.
Yeah.
On her business.
I love how he was, like, after that first sex scene, he's like, damn, I wish I could go down on her. It's like, okay, boy, you hungry? Right. And then he did.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was funny. Like, that was the one thing he really wanted. I feel like he wanted that more than he wanted sex.
Yeah.
So, Like,
Yeah.
that was peak for him. It was pleasuring a woman, which is just absolutely
I love it.
peak romance novel. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
But again, it just like further speaks to how like I know like our standards are pretty low for real men, but like it just speaks of like how selfless he is. It wasn't like an act that he personally gets pleasure from. Like he does clearly, but I mean like it's not something that like directly makes sure like
affects
he
his, I mean, well, I was gonna say directly affects his body. I mean, I guess it does, but you know what? We understand what
yeah
we're trying to
yeah. So again, like kudos to Tyson, man. He likes to go down. On women.
Yeah, he was like he was very selfless.
Yeah.
In a way that I feel like alpha-ish men like him aren't usually.
He was a soft boy hiding behind like this alpha exterior. Because I honestly think if he grew up on Earth and like stayed on Earth, he would not have been like this alpha, like scary, like aggressive man. I honestly think he would be like a soft.
He was made that way. Yeah.
He would be like a soft, great, patient man. And like obviously he's both of those combined now because of his, situation, his atmosphere. Yeah.
Were you ever annoyed by Audra's comments like, oh, I guess you want sex now, or like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to pay for this later, or like it was constant.
Yeah.
Everything he would do, like she could not believe he would be like selfless ever. Like to her, everything was meant currency, and the currency was sex. Like it just, and I was like, can you not see?
But
what he's doing for you?
They had a lot of miscommunication though.
Yeah.
Girl.
And when she got to the planet, I mean that was the impression she got. She needed to pay for,
Yeah.
And don't forget her first like experience on that planet was like seeing broken women and like men lusting after her and like expecting for them to rape her because like the world is just so brutal. And so she expects the same from Tyson because that's literally all she's been exposed to as soon as she got onto this planet.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it didn't bother me, and I agree with that. But I feel like at certain points in the story, she should have realized this guy is actually much sweeter and much kinder than I expected. And perhaps we could have that conversation. Like, maybe she could have opened up and said, like, hey, like, I'm just confused. Like, are you expecting anything from me? Are you not? Like, sometimes you seem like you would want to, but you're not doing anything about it. Like, I just kind of wish she had seen him as someone who she can have this conversation with, or seen him as someone who wouldn't do that, because he wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like she was kind of blind to it. And I understand the situation and I get that, but growth, please.
Yeah.
No, I agree, like growth, but I feel like a lot of his like conversations happen internally. Like he's not a vocal character. He doesn't express his feelings.
Sure.
He doesn't really discuss things with people. He just does things. And we also need to keep in mind like Audra does a good job of like filtering out like what's going on, but like we also need to realize that women are being raped right next door, all over around them. So she's literally just hearing like constant sex, constant rape going on. So she expects that she's gonna have to pay for like, the food. She's gonna have to pay for like clean clothes. She's gonna have to pay for all of that because like that's literally what's going on around her. And also, as I said, Tyson does not vocalize his desires and what he expects of their relationship. Because he even calls them like he wants to maintain this partnership or companionship, but we know that he wants to have her, as a partner, as an equal. But she obviously, like anyone else, would assume that he means like, friends with benefits.
Which, I mean, the sex was great, girl. Like, just
take it.
It ain't bad, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I would just say yes. I just feel like it's the kind of book where don't have expectations because they will not happen.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he gets the door. The door serves no purpose because they have to go. They manage to escape. Macy gets taken away.
Yeah.
He has to choose between them. Like, I feel like every time the character made one or two steps forward, it was like one backwards.
Yeah.
Right away. And in a way, I'm like, I can appreciate it. It's realistic. It's like, in a situation like this of like survival, I guess it makes sense that whenever you move forward, you inevitably move backwards too. But
Yeah.
it's just so hopeless.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, when they decided that they were going to be together and, you know, they were going to take Macy with them, and then they went to go talk to Jamie, how did you girls feel about the situation, like the deal that they struck? You know, it was, Jamie said that, okay, you guys can go, but only if I get Audra for one night. And then once, you know, Audra agrees to it, Tyson doesn't, but once they decide, you know, that that's what's going to happen, Audra's like not on board, but she knows she has to do it until he decides to try and do some butt play. How did you feel about
literally blocked that scene out of my brain.
Yeah?
It was traumatic.
Yeah.
It was.
Like, it went further than I expected it to.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I really was not expecting.
Like, they were literally naked, and he was gonna, you know, insert it somewhere, you know, back door.
And the back door was, like, locked, secured, nothing was going in there. Like, nuh-uh.
I was expecting it to end much faster than it did. I expected Tyson to, like, barge in, being like, never mind, bitch, I got a gun, I'm gonna kill you, or something. But then it was so late.
Yeah. I thought, for a second, I thought the author was gonna take it there.
I thought so, too.
Yeah.
I honestly think it would have happened, it would have went all the way if he didn't want to go into the back door.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would have happened, and, like, I think the reason why Tyson didn't burst in is, like, he knew that it had to happen for them to get away. Like, obviously, like, the inevitable happened, and he killed Jamie, and that meant that they had to find a new leader, but it was not something that was on the table at that time.
Isn't it awful that we think it would be possible for him to go all the way in this book because of how hopeless it is?
The world is so hopeless.
That is kind of insane.
The only reason Audra and Macy survived and made it okay is because they got lucky. They got lucky with Tyson. And that's the only hope in this whole book. And it's literally Audra trying to make the best of a situation. Like, she knows this world is brutal, but she wants to get out of zone 4 and, like, live a somewhat happy life, a content life with the man that she fell in love with. All I know is that she was lucky.
I just feel like there's safety barriers, or I don't know how to call them, in romance that as a reader you kind of have in the back of your mind when things happen or things start going a certain way that you're like, ooh, I'm not feeling comfortable with it. But, like, you're like, oh, but I can trust the author to take care of me. You know what I mean? Like, there's this sort of reassuring thing about romance where you just feel like the person knows what you're expecting and will deliver.
Yeah.
So it's saying a lot about this book, I feel like, and how it's written, that you don't have those. Like, I didn't feel safe. Like, I did not know where it was going to go. S says, like, she was expecting it to go all the way. Like, that is... it kind of makes me question, like, is this even a romance novel on that front? Like,
true.
Yes, there's a love story, but, like, does it then not qualify as romance because it just, everything that's safe about romance and, like, comfortable, and I'm not saying, like, obviously we've all read dark romance here, like, we've read those themes before, but we knew about them, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, in this case, you don't expect it, but the book just turns out that way. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's just, I'm wondering, like, does it still feel like a romance novel to you? Even though it's so hopeless and dark.
I kind of want to say no.
No?
No. Like how you said, it wasn't, I didn't feel safe. Like, there were I think 2 scenes where I'm like, if Jamie was a hero, I was gonna DNF, and if it does go this far, I'm just not gonna.
Yeah. Like you said, we've all read dark romance, but I felt like this one tested the boundaries of what like I deemed dark romance. But then it brought me back to like I don't know if you girls read Captive in the Dark by C.J. Roberts.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
That is
Girl,
kind of
what question is that?
that one. Okay, yeah. Okay, that was like the first like intense dark romance I've read. And for me, it kind of resembled that in the sense where like it tested the boundaries of like what I was comfortable with. Because like in that book, the male lead did rape her in the butt numerous times. And
I
like
mean, and he did watch her being raped by other people. Like, he watched her being passed around because that was his job. Like,
yeah, and his
book is
job was
awful
to
now that I
train
think about
her.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a great book, but god damn it.
Yeah.
I would never read it today.
exactly, exactly.
Bless my soul from like 6 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is like this book felt like a book written in that time. You know, like it felt
Yeah.
like when dark romance was just starting out and when the dark romance was like trying to find its like ground in romance society. It kind of felt like that.
But I also think maybe it's just not a 2020 romance. You know what I mean? Like, in the sense that it's not the kind of book you want to read in 2020, and perhaps it hits harder because of the year we've had. Like, I don't know if maybe, like, I personally, I know that I was really seeking those happy, joyful, not necessarily happy, but just stories that make me feel, by the end, just so satisfied and good. You know, like, make me feel like I've escaped into another world, and obviously this did not deliver on that front. So I wonder if like I'm harsher on it now because of the situation. And had I read this, I don't know, 2 years ago or in 2 years, I'd feel differently.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like I wouldn't think it's so dark. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like for me, like the books that I've read this year haven't always been cookie cutter, like happy
Girl, you
all
watch
the time.
fucking Turkish shows where everyone gets kidnapped every episode, so
Shut up, okay? In today's episode, my boy got shot, so I'm like, oh no. But anyways, so yes, I've been watching Turkish shows, but also like the books I've been choosing that aren't for the podcast. Like I wouldn't necessarily say like they're happy books. I feel like they're books that I can escape in, and like they're not always like the positive, like happy vibe that you know one should go to during 2020. So yeah, I can't really say that.
No, I worded it weird. I don't mean happy. The books I've read aren't by any means happy rom-coms or whatnot, but what I mean is that feeling of knowing. Like, I really turned toward romance this year, like, in a way that I've never turned towards this genre before. Like, I needed it. I needed it to show me what love can do, how love can heal, how love will, win against all. Like, I needed that feeling. And so that's what I was seeking in the books that I was reading. Some of them were sad, but ultimately it always ends well. Like, I can trust the author to deliver the ending that I'm hoping for, the ending that leaves me satisfied and makes me hopeful. I think hopeful is a better word.
Yeah.
Like, that there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, okay. That I agree with.
I guess that's what I'm saying with, like, this book didn't deliver on that front, and maybe that's why it kind of really hit me harder than other books I've read this year, because it was like, oh god, like, I'm really not getting out of this the feelings that I'm wanting right now.
Yeah. I agree with that. But I feel like we could also argue that, like, it's hopeful in the sense that, like, like, Audra came there, and obviously she had to make the best of the situation.
Love can be found in the darkest places.
Exactly. And, like, it made, like, Tyson want more in life, where he was literally just going through the motions and, like, surviving. He was just complacent. Now with Audra, he actually finds happiness, and there's hope, and there's love. And, like, as you said, love is found in the darkest of places. Like, love grew and blossomed in this hopeless, disgusting world. And I feel like that's the hopeful situation.
Yeah, okay. I guess it's like there's two perspectives. There's the perspective of the characters, and there's yours as a reader. And I'm talking about mine as a reader, how I connect with the story.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, how the characters may feel about how, like, where they end up, So you're right. Like, on their front, they probably reached the happiest place they could be.
On that planet.
Yeah. So, good for them. For me? I don't know.
You didn't get there. Yeah.
I don't know.
But like you said, it could be happy for now, and maybe later on in the series, they could dismantle the system.
Yeah, no, that's true.
All right, we never really got into what the monster of the story was, but I feel like we kind of talked about it.
Burn the whole planet to the ground. Burn the system. Burn the universe. Burn whoever the fuck has, implanted this system of a
who did it, though?
Planet.
Like,
I don't know.
Who decided
it's like there's a galactic
federation?
Oh God.
I wish. No, but it's like there's like a galactic like political party or whatever. Not political party, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell? It's like, I don't understand how it works.
Well, clearly, like, the humans settled on different planets and moons, and then they had to form like a galactic what is it called? Justice system?
Yeah, but like look at the world. Not every country works the same way as far as like who are convicted, how it works. Is there a death penalty? Is there not?
Yeah.
Is there, like, it works differently for every country. So it's like, in this world, it seems like literally anyone that commits a crime just gets sent there, and that's how every planet works. Yeah. Which I find a little bit unrealistic, because, like, heck, if 200 and so country can't get along, I don't think the whole goddamn galaxy can, but
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, it's brutal, and I don't understand how that happened, like a prison planet. Obviously we don't know about their lives on the moon, or like because Audra lived on a moon, or like Tyson's life on Earth. We don't know what Earth became in the future. We don't know.
I mean, we kind of know. He said it wasn't entirely unlivable.
Well, I mean, in terms of, like, what the people were like, what, like, the living conditions were, did they have food, were there jobs, like, that type of thing. We don't know, like, what the world is like, what the mentality of the people are like. I mean, let's just put it out there. I'm waiting for this Galactic Federation to, actually form a treaty with Earth so that, the whole, like, alien Tinder starts up so I can find me my alien husband.
Yes. I've said it before. I'm saying it again. I am waiting for approval from my mail order husband, alien husband. Please send it through. I will gladly welcome him. Or maybe he can just take me away. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I just don't want to be.
Yeah, girls, if I go missing, my alien husband.
If you go missing, I'm not sounding the alarm. It's because you're in good hands.
Thank you. Thank
you. All right. I feel like we didn't really talk about the monster.
We didn't. I asked about it and everyone just ignored me.
Oh, okay. Well, monster. Whoever is in charge of this system, whoever put it in place to begin with,
the planet.
Obviously the vile, I was going to say the vile nature of men. And when I say men, I mean like,
mankind?
Yeah, like mankind. Like just the vile things that we could do.
Humankind?
Oh, sorry. Feminist. Well, I was going to say men with a capital M. Sorry, I'm old school.
No,
humankind. Okay. The like really awful things we would go, like the really awful lengths we would go to survive. I feel as a monster, like it's really like I don't know, like it kind of shows like a self-reflection of like, what would you do?
Yeah.
To survive.
That's
like,
true.
What would you do if you were put into this situation?
Oh, yeah. Can that be a question for us?
Oh God.
What would we do? Would it be, what is that saying, survival of the fittest? Like, would you do anything possible in order to survive in this world? Would you become a Wendy?
I don't know.
Fuck no, man. I'm finding a goddamn tree branch and I'm stabbing myself with that. Like, that's what I'm saying.
See,
that's what I'm doing.
For me, it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm capable of. I don't, like, if I'm in that situation, you don't know. I don't think I could kill myself. Like, I don't think I could, like, kill anyone else. I don't think I could let myself be raped, but at the same time, you don't know. You don't know what could happen if you're not in the situation. Like, I don't
Or
know.
let's say you're a guard. What would you do if you were a guard? Would you try to help people? Would you try to be the change?
Well, that's the thing too, right? It's like they're just as bad. Like they're not helping.
No, they're not. Like, we also need to keep in mind this is a planet full of prisoners. Like, we don't know the extent of their crimes. Like, the only good people that we see is Audra, Tyson, and Macy. But even Macy just bends her head and just ignores things. Actually, that's not true. She's actually given food away. Never mind.
But like what are your chances of finding a Tyson? You know, like
Slim to none. Audra's got him already.
I don't know. I feel like I like to think that even in the worst of situations, there comes a point where you think, nah, this is my limit. I don't go there. You know?
Yeah. I just feel like it's a really dark place to put your mind in because I honestly, I don't know. And I also thought about, like, if, like, I was seeing someone that, like, you know, was subjugated to, like, awful situations and, like, an awful, like, man, would I be the person to go help them? I don't know. Like, I would want to say yes. I could not see someone in pain. Like, even to this day, I can't see people in pain. I can't see people, like, obviously being, you know, brutalized. But at the same time, in that world, like, would I have that same mentality? Would I be browbeaten? Like, I don't know. For me, like, I agree. It's like it was whoever organized this prison planet and, you know, this messed up societal norm. Like, it just basically meant, like, women were nothing and that they were just empty vessels to please men. And it's like this whole idea of toxic masculinity, you know, that women are only meant to serve men, that they don't have their own thoughts, that they are basically, as I said, vessels. The women are even sterilized, so they can't procreate. They have no rights on their bodies. They have no rights on, like, you know, their words even, because Tyson even tells Audra, don't taunt the men. You know, just don't taunt them. Don't talk back. But the women are sterilized, but do you think the men are sterilized as well? I mean, there's no point for them to be sterilized if the women are sterilized.
I don't think so.
Again, I guess you're thinking, like, why aren't the men sterilized? Like,
I guess so they wouldn't have a period.
True. That is true. That is true.
But it's still like, why are they the expendable ones? What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So, I mean, that's for me. I thought, like, on this planet, that's what the monster was. It was toxic masculinity at its finest, you know?
But you know what that reminded me of? Like, the fact that they're sterilized against their will. Again, reminded me of the fact that, like, a couple weeks ago, there was this article about women on the border being, like, sterilized against their will. Their womb was taken out. What the fuck?
And I think they were being lied to.
You think that's so... You know, you read this, and, like, had I read this 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh my god, that's wild, never gonna happen. Like, that's, you know, fictional.
Yeah.
But then reading it today, it's like, wait, this is not actually this unrealistic of I was gonna say corporations, but, like, kind of deciding what the fuck happens with your own goddamn body. Like, just the justice system being allowed to decide what happens to your body is
disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it honestly, like, it mind boggles me. Like, we're in today's society and, like, women and people, you know, with like female reproductive organs, like, I'm sorry, but it's just like, I hate that, like, so many of, like, our rights are being taken away, and it's just like, it's, like, so apparent in this book. Like, obviously, like, I don't know if it was Emmy Chandler's, you know, purpose, but, like, highlighting, like, how women don't have rights on themselves, and, like, they literally cannot control themselves in this world. Like, they have no control over themselves, and it's just like, I don't know if that was on purpose, but it's just like, it really highlights what's going on in society today.
It kind of highlights how far the world has gone
in the wrong direction.
That this is not actually this unrealistic.
Yeah, I agree.
It's sad and awful, obviously.
Yeah, there's so many countries in our world today that, like, you know, this is very reminiscent of women are like browbeaten into submission. You know, they have to like bend their head, they have to like endure whatever is thrown in their way just to serve like their spouse or their partner or whatever the situation may be. And yeah, it's awful. And that's all I have to say. Like, I honestly, like, this book was not, as you said, it was hopeless.
I mean, I kind of do think, like, the good thing is that, at least in our world, there are people that are standing up and fighting back. You know what I mean? Like, you see resistance in the face of atrocities like that. Mm-hmm. But in this world, in the world of the book, unfortunately, you don't really get to see that. So
the only champions they have would be Macy and Audra, because, you know, Macy almost died basically from trying to give someone food. Same thing happened to Audra. Like, helping other women is obviously frowned upon because their guardian should be the one protecting them. But they are the ones that are hurting them.
Well, I guess the guard woman did, you know, make an act of resistance by letting them through.
But was she helping them, or was she just wanted to get out?
I think it was both. I think she was helping them, and also that meant she would, which is just fucked up on another level. Like, she's literally a guard. She's not committed any crime, and her people have let her live on. Like, they were like, okay, well, you're gone now.
Well, they thought she was dead. They presumed you're dead, which obviously, like, they didn't even try to look for her. Which is another question. Like, why is she so expendable that you just left her on a prison planet with nasty, disgusting people? Or
that you didn't even care to look for a body or make sure that she really was dead and not just injured? Yeah. Like, that is fucked up too. Like, just...
I think Vivian said that if they couldn't see her in, like, the first day or whatever, that she probably was dead because, you know, the world is awful. And Zone 4 is known for murderers and rapists, so they just thought she was going to be dead.
Didn't Jamie take out her tracker? Wasn't she tracked?
Yeah, he did. He took her tracker.
Yes. Jamie did take a tracker.
Another reason to hate Jamie. God damn it.
Ugh, I hate.
Resuscitate the bastard so we can kill him again.
There's only one Jamie I like, and that's Jamie Fraser.
Yes. All right. Are we done?
I feel like we need to end on a happy note, guys. This is too depressing.
Okay, well, resist, persist. The world will get better. I feel like that's a poster. I mean, I guess, like, we don't have to ask the question, would you want to...
That would be a hard no.
Don't even ask. Be in the place of any of the characters.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a no.
Don't ask that question.
All right. This is it for this very depressing episode of Romancing the Monsters.
We promise next week will be better, okay? It won't be as depressing.
Sure it will. Next time we pick a sci-fi,
I'll make sure they're not.
Delicious, tailed, horned, rigged man. There you go. We'll pick a blue or a green or orange alien. That's really
my favorite.
We are Romancing the Monsters podcast on Instagram and the RTM pod on Twitter. You can also email us if you want to at romancingthemonsterspodcast@gmail.com. And you can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at Foes and Lovers.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ButThisBook.
And you can find me, Seth, on both Instagram and Twitter at Pros with Woes.
All right. Well, see you next week, folks.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.